This is Cole here with Tim and Duncan tonight. We are going to talk about the state of the Minnesota Timberwolves here going into the offseason. We had the NBA Finals where the New York Knicks defeated the San Antonio Spurs. We have Wolves fans happy for Karl Anthony Towns, but very upset with the organization. There's been some other organizational moves that have made fans mad as well. So we'll kind of go through exactly what the Minnesota Timberwolves can do here moving forward to kind of fill the roster out for next season. But just a couple quick things here before I pass it over to Tim. We had the Julius Randle trade, guys, right? Which was a salary dump just to kind of help us out with the offseason, right? Then we had the LaMelo trade. RIP, Naz Reid's gone. That's what I was saying about the fans being very upset, including my wife. But yeah, so with those moves here, we're kind of in a tight situation with what we have, but the overall roster is looking way better than what it was last year. And I feel like smart fans, I guess, would be kind of the best way to put it. Ball knowers really feel like that this team is better equipped to kind of be successful moving forward next year. So I'm going to pass it over to Tim, and he's going to kind of go over what we can kind of do here moving forward with this offseason. So, Tim, can you just kind of take it here and just kind of explain to everybody, kind of set the stage here with what the aprons are, so that we can kind of move forward with that?
Yeah. Tim Conley did not want to wait till the 4th of July for some fireworks. That dude is one of the best deal makers in the business. And the reason why is his creativity to stack different transactions together. Now, Minnesota traded Julius Randle, a $33.3 million contract, and Naz Reid in order to salary match and move for the LaMelo Ball, which is going to be a breath of fresh air in Chris Finch's flow style offense. But we also got a flyer on Josh Green, who's a talented young swingman. He's got some good size and can shoot it, but is likely a little bit overpaid for the production he's put out. The moves all together, especially with the re-signing of Jalen Clark, we have 11 roster spots. I also have Isaiah Evans, who is part of the Julius Randle trade. This was a very shrewd move by the front office. Rumor has it they were all eyes on Isaiah Evans at 28. Well, they moved back 5 spots, and because they took Isaiah Evans in the second round as opposed to the first round, they can now sign him for $1.35 million as opposed to $3 million. That's almost $2 million of cap savings that they can now use. Now, ultimately, the Timberwolves added the big contract in the middle of all. He had a trade kicker that picked his salary up from $40.7 to $41.25 million. Now, as we sit, the Timberwolves are over the first apron by about 3.7 million. They have about 9 million, just under 9 million in space into the second apron. We are hard capped at the second apron. Reason being, we aggregated Naz Reid and Julius Randle to acquire LaMelo Ball. By aggregating, you are now hard capped at the second apron. So we cannot go beyond the second apron. Quite frankly, we don't want to anyways because of the penalties. Now, with that, if you were to add 2 minimum contract players, so we're going to go in here and we're going to add that. Mm-hmm. Oh, that didn't work.
And for the non-YouTube audience, this is a chart that Tim is playing with here to show it. So if you are wanting to see this, hop on the YouTube stream.
Yep. Okay, we're going to do one more try here. So what I want to show you is if you add 2 minimum contracts, which is $2.45 million, you're left with $4 million, just over $4 million in space. So why does that matter? I see a lot of people talking about free agent targets, John Collins, Tobias Harris, as well as Rui Hachimura. Well, those guys are likely going to go around 10 to 15 million, the full taxpayer mid-level exception, which is 15 million. As you can see, just by filling out the roster, Minnesota would only have 4 million. And we do have a taxpayer exception which is $6 million, you are eligible to use that taxpayer exception if you're over the first apron, which applies to Minnesota. So we'd only have $6 million. Well, we can't even use the full $6 million. So when you people say, "Oh, we don't have much space," that's why. So that's the stage we're set. Realistically, we have about $4 million to go after a free agent. We have 3 roster spots minimum we have to fill because you legally have to carry at least 14 of 15 roster spots. So 3 spots to go, about $9 million in space, and about $4 million you can use to sign somebody above the minimum. That's where we stand on the eve of free agency.
Yeah, no, that honestly, that doesn't sound like very much, and which it isn't. So I think kind of what we were talking about beforehand is possibly going with some guys that were here before in the past to kind of round out this roster, right? Because it'd be really tough to kind of sign some higher value name guys. But Duncan, kind of going off of what Tim just said here, what are your thoughts on kind of what has happened over here the last week or so, and what do you kind of expect?
Well, I mean, I love Naz Reid as a person for Minnesota, and I loved him as a basketball player. But as a 30-minute to 35-minute a game guy, I don't know how successful he would have been. So, giving up a high value pick and Naz Reid and salary dumping Julius Randle for, in my opinion, a top 5 point guard in the NBA. Yes, there are very real injury concerns with his ankles, and he's a hooligan sometimes, as a lot of people know. But he is such a perfect fit for what Anthony Edwards wants to do, especially as a catch and shoot guy, and just reducing the minutes on his legs and the passing that he has to try to do as a point ant, and allowing him to play some more actual defense, which is what I think that end hope is as well. So I like what they did. I think the reality is you have to hope that there's so many power forwards on the market, which there are so many power forwards on the market right now, that one of them looks at the 4 million like a Tobias Harris and says, I need to win a ring, and he signs, or a John Collins and says, you know what, I need to boost my value so high that I'm willing to take this 1-year flyer to play with quite possibly the best team in the NBA. And I know Johnny K mentioned that in a tweet probably yesterday or today it was. And I think that's the right mentality that Wolves fans kind of have to have right now is, let's hope we get lucky, and let's hope that people realize how great this roster is, that someone signs here for dirt cheap and is a much, much better value than that contract is. Yeah. Or you got to really hope that Green, the trading Green and re-aggregating that salary for someone else, is going to get the job done in some way, shape, or form for a guy like Aldama or something like that. But then there's, there's, we can get into the extra part of sweeteners for Aldama or other players and things like that. So something will happen. I'm optimistic that Tim probably has something. Conley has something planned. Not Tim Garrison, but Tim Conley has something in his back pocket, which maybe he is telling Tim Garrison. But my guess is that something good will happen. But it's wait and see mode until 5 p.m. tomorrow.
It is.
Yeah.
We can talk about the options too. I mean, I just kind of went on a long rant about how we don't have much money. There's a sliver of a pathway where they could maybe get back under that first apron. So what do you think, Cole? Should we dive into that?
Yeah. Let's kind of go into that just so that people kind of see what's going on, because everyone's excited. They're like, oh, we want power forward or whatever. And Duncan, with kind of what you said, there is a big market out there. But yeah, let's kind of dive in.
It's a laundry list.
Let's show some people. Yeah, let's go for it.
Yeah. So essentially, Josh Green is an expiring contract. I think the Wolves are gonna have a heck of a time trying to find the incentive of the team, because we don't have a draft pick. If we had 2 or 3 second-round picks, this would be a much easier process. We could toss a pick here or there, just a little sweetener to be like, oh, take this guy. Yeah, you have cap space. So in my mind, probably the one team that it can maybe be realistic is the Brooklyn Nets, and only because we have an open trade with them currently. Again, the LaMelo Ball and Julius Randle moves are not finalized yet. That move can still be expanded.
Until July 6th.
Correct. That's when it's projected to be finalized. Josh Green and Dante DiVincenzo together, they make up $27.214 million. So I think Dante DiVincenzo could potentially be of value to some team. I mean, Dane Moore and Britt just went in on this today, and they brought up a team like Utah, who's clearly trying to become a better team. It could make sense for them to value having Dante and sit him for a year just so they can re-sign him and have his bird rights. I think they're right about that. Josh Green, as I just laid out, doesn't have that same kind of shine. So you're kind of hoping a team like Brooklyn, who you have an open deal with, strikes out in free agency, which free agency is really bare. They also just traded for Julius Randle. The only position in free agency that has a lot of talent is power forward.
It's insane.
So there is a sliver of a chance that a team like Brooklyn or one of the cap space teams are like, you know what, we'll take a flyer just to get up to the cap minimum. And I think the deal is much easier for Dante. So, and one more disclaimer, the team has been adamant that they're not trading Dante DiVincenzo.
Right.
So in this scenario, we're going to ignore that.
Yeah, that's kind of been like one of those things where it's, I was just going to say that John K has been kind of saying where it's like the team wants to do Dante right. They want him to make sure that he's still with the same medical team and everything else. So I think, teams that are trying to reach out to the Timberwolves about, wanting to trade for him, it's going to be really hard for that to happen. And honestly, I think if it's going to work, it's got to be a trade that they cannot refuse. I think that's kind of how it's going to be. So that's kind of like a highly coveted player to the Wolves, and just doing him right, just being a good human aspect of it all.
Yeah, I think so. And that's why we're going to go over this pathway, but I don't think I see it happening. So in this move, we would get under the apron. We'd have $23.5 million under the first apron. Right. That allows us to use our taxpayer mid-level exception.
Yeah.
Excuse me, non-taxpayer mid-level exception, which is $15 million. We're going to go down here and scoop that.
Right.
So we now have $15 million that we could potentially spend. Now, again, in this scenario, we would only have 10 people under contract. We'd have to sign 4 veteran minimum. So let's put those in. Okay.
Gotta love a good chart.
Yeah, put these in here. And as you can see, once you add those veteran minimums in, you're looking at, oh wait, no, that's one too many.
Yeah.
You're looking at about 13.7 million that you could spend.
So it's not even the full. You can't even use the full in reality of what you're allowed to.
You couldn't. Okay. So in that scenario, you could go out and look at a John Collins and be like, hey, we would love to sign you. And 1 second, I was right. We're going to add one more in here for the YouTube audience, and then we're going to take this out. So 13.7. You now have 13.7. Again, this number I'm looking at is that first apron room right here.
Right.
So you have 13.7 million, where now you're not going to John Collins or Tobias Harris's camp and being like, hey, you want to come play for us for $4 million? You can at least have a pony in the race here. That's at least in the ballpark. So that's an option where not only would Minnesota be able to then go and get that high quality starting caliber power forward in free agency, it also saves the team a ton of money in luxury tax savings. Again, they're getting out of the luxury tax apron. Getting out of the first apron, and that's a multiplier. So every dollar that they go into the apron, there's a multiplier on top of that for how much more they owe in cap savings. Now, I know nobody's shedding a tear for the billionaires, but from the business side, that might be a home run move for the front office to get the power forward, get their 4, but also from the business side, save some money. So that's the one option. What do you guys think about that one?
Duncan, I'm going to leave it to you.
in reality, I you think it makes the team better, but you're relying on less possibility of depth later on in the season. I think
Yes.
there is a reality of the fact that Josh Green has shown with players like Luka Doncic, who is very similar to LaMelo Ball, and as how LaMelo Ball is a playmaker for other players and trying to find them in the corner and get open looks, that you're losing the possibility of, he's shown he's been an okay NBA player and even a positive NBA player at points. You're losing the possibility of Dante coming back with 2 months left in the season and kind of just finding that form. I mean, these Achilles surgeries are getting even better and better as we progress. So it's not to say that you rule that out, but the reality is you get a guy from the start, from the get-go, who starts in at power forward that actually slots up for what this team wants to be. And if you're able to go to a Tobias Harris and a John Collins and actually get that, I think you got to take that swing. If those two guys are telling you, or one of those two guys is telling you, yeah, if you can get that, and somebody's willing to take Josh Green and Dante's, salaries without taking anything else, I don't want to lose Terrence Shannon. Like, if we're dumping those two guys, I'm not throwing Terrence Shannon into a trade. Yeah, I think that's probably the number one option. The reality is somebody's got to take Josh Green's contract.
Yeah.
Somebody, and I don't think it's necessarily got to take a Dante, because I think somebody would probably be happy doing that. But there's got to be someone out there willing to take Josh Green's contract. Got to think with how many guards are on the market with shooting capabilities that he might for a team with cap space, but I think it could be wishful thinking.
Yeah. Honestly, I kind of look at it where, Tim, I know you guys are kind of talking about, you and Duncan, kind of his Josh Green's value is kind of lower. But one thing that I kind of look at it is this: is there's teams in the NBA now. The Knicks have the blueprint, right? They showed how to beat the San Antonio Spurs by shooting. What does Josh Green do? He's a phenomenal catch and shoot from the 3-point line. Last season, 43%. I mean, he's been around the 40% mark the last few years, and that's what teams are looking for. Now, yes, the $14 million is where the value gets hurt, right? That's a lot of money for just a guy that's just going to shoot you 3-pointers and whatnot. But, for a team, I'm just spitballing here. I don't know all the numbers for all the teams out there, but let's say with everything that is going on with the Golden State Warriors wanting Anthony Davis, wanting LeBron James, they got Steph Curry. They just re-signed Porzingis today to a contract. Maybe Josh Green is a guy that they could want as just an extra shooter on the floor for them, because they are going to have a lot of money to spend or to put towards this roster or to their roster. But there's other teams out there that are looking for this too. But I agree. I think that Josh Green does need to be moved. I don't want to move Dante. I think that just what he brings to the overall team is not just shooting, it's heart, it's everything that we've talked about since we've been on the podcast through the Daily Wolves. Like, how many times have we talked about Dante and how he was the heart and soul of the team this last year, with how crazy of a year it was with what the locker room was dealing with. Dante didn't show any moodiness. He didn't show any negativity because he just wanted to freaking win. And I want a guy on the team like that 100% of the time. And I want the Wolves to be able to sign him to a deal. I want them to extend him. That's how I look at it. But if we're gonna, kind of set, pathways to a mid-level exception, I can't do it. It's just me. That's just me.
And I'm with you. I actually believe the Timberwolves. It's one of those things where, sure, they could have that pathway, and I think they could trade Dante. I think Josh Green, you're going to need to kind of get lucky and probably hop into another transaction, as you mentioned.
Well, Tim, how about this, though? If you were able to, let's say Josh Green, and then you're able to throw in a Rudy. Now, I know that he is the anchor to this defense. Is there a pathway to where we can, include him, or Rudy as in him, and Josh Green for some other players to kind of fill out the roster as well.
That's also an option. I
Mhm.
flirted with one idea of if you were to trade Rudy. So, for example, let's say Jalen Duren he pieces out of the Detroit Pistons, and they're all of a sudden desperate for an elite rim protector. If you could extract enough first-round pick value out of Rudy to the point you could turn around and acquire PJ Washington, Daniel Gafford, and this is probably a little too greedy, but Najee Marshall. That's where it's really tempting. Or if you could get that level of value for Rudy and break him into 3 really good players that are under contract, that's where I see a path where like you have to consider that,
right.
especially with Rudy being 33. Ultimately, I think this team wants to pair. They've had so much belief in Rudy Gobert. They finally just got a point guard that can effectively keep him in the game night in, night out.
Right.
I just have a really hard time unless you get that. This is too good of an offer to say no to.
Exactly.
And you have an immediate trade to pick up a couple guys. I just don't know if I see it happening. That said, speaking of trades, we just kind of we spent the past like 10 minutes talking about Josh Green's gonna be tough to move on. Well, you're probably gonna have to attach a sweetener. And somebody like Terrence Shannon Jr. could have a lot of value across the league. Now, what you're looking for, if you add those 2 contracts up, it's going to add up to about $17.5 million.
Okay.
There's some decent players that fit under that. Namely, one of them, a couple people have tweeted at me about Santi Aldama. I think that's a fantastic option. He's a great rebounder. He's a smart player, high IQ guy, connector from the 4 spot. He's not the best 3-point shooter, but his one good area on the court is in the corners.
Okay.
So that type of player could be of interest.
Put him in the corner.
Yeah. But he's smart too. He can make those passes in the interior and help the rebounding. That rebounding is probably one of the bigger problems of the team right now, post Naz Reid and Julius Randle leaving. So that's somebody where maybe a team like Memphis, who just drafted a power forward number 3 overall, is open to dealing one of their depth fours that they've invested some money into. He makes about $17 million a year. So in that move, you could do that, and you could fill out the roster with minimums. So the whole gang of Bones, Kyle Anderson, and Mike Conley probably comes back in that scenario. But that's an option. Like, can you get somebody who makes less than $7.5 million? And would they take Josh Green and take TJ? And from our perspective, is it worth including TJ?
Right. That's where I come and say this is like the least, in my thought process, the least likely of the outcomes is losing a long-term possible asset to fill a position that they probably are positive enough that they can get one of the leftover scraps from the plow forward market. That's probably going to have to sign for $4 million to play for the Timberwolves. I mean, I'm not going to go through the list of power forwards right now, but there are more power forwards than there are teams that need power forwards on the market now.
That's very true.
So it is.
I mean,
it's a
you
deep
might be
position.
left with.
Yeah.
You might be left with what they give you. Yeah.
Right.
In that, and maybe. So, we'll see where that happens, but I just doubt they give up an asset where the NBA is getting smaller. Terrence Shannon Jr. has shown that he's a strong man and he can probably play the power forward. I mean, Miles Bridges is 6'6", and he played the power forward for 4 years for the Hornets. I mean, and is probably going to play it for the Suns now. It's a position of, can you rebound the ball? And now they're going to be playing 4 out. They're going to be playing 4 out. So the reality is, can you hold up defensively against somebody 6'10"? He's strong enough to do it, that's for sure. So that's where I say, like, least likely of the outcomes, but it could happen.
To play devil's advocate here, though, with TJ, I love TJ. I want him to stay here as well. I believe he's going to turn out to be a phenomenal player. But as we kind of sit here and talk about LaMelo Ball with Anthony Edwards, right? what's LaMelo Ball's, top attribute as a player? He's going to get you the ball in space, right, for a catch and shoot. TJ is just not that kind of player. In my mind, he's a slasher, he's a driver, and I don't know how he is going to fit within this system moving forward, But again, I love TJ. I want him here, and I agree with you, Duncan. But the devil's advocate of it all is just saying, like, well, he isn't that great of a catch and shoot player, and moving forward, what do we want to do? Do we sell high on him right now after his performance at the end of the year in the playoffs? So that's one thing to kind of look at.
There is there's a role for him at the 6-man role where he's coming in and he's initiating the offense while LaMelo isn't on the court with Anthony.
Okay.
Kind of to like what Chris Finch said at the postseason is we got to let him initiate. So hopefully that's what they see him at. But yeah, in terms of at the 4, no, that's not the position where he's going to thrive. And it's more of the sense of like out of necessity, can he handle it during the regular season in the minutes that he has to, which would probably be 10 to 12 minutes if he's going to be playing in that position. And then, the 8 to 9 that he might do in the initiator role. So that's where I'm like, hey, seems like giving up a lot. But Aldama's a really good player, so if you get that type of guy, it's a good swing at the same time. But it's just one of those things where I would say, oof, losing out on your one sweetener.
Right. Yep. Okay, really quick before we kind of move forward here. So there's something that NBA Central has put out on Twitter. Raptors are favorites to land Kawhi Leonard, but the Minnesota Timberwolves are right behind them.
How?
Tim, how could this work? How could this work, Tim?
I don't know.
So I got my phone here. I got it out. Okay, so Kawhi's contract going into 26-27 is $50.3 million. I looked at it and I said there's no way. There's no way that this can happen. But there's a reason why they posted this, and it's the actual account, NBA Central. So is this, I guess, kind of moving away with what we were just talking about here, is this something where there's someone in the background just saying, hey, we got offers from the Timberwolves, you better sweeten the deal up a little bit more? But you can't think that front offices are believing this, right? Because as we just stated, we don't have money to make big moves. Like, I don't understand how it would be possible. I mean, it is, but it'd be very hard.
Wouldn't just Rudy and Josh Green and Dante be really enough to do something like that? You're basically would be betting on Baron J to be the starting center for you at that rate. And you're saying, okay, let's hope that this is enough for the Clippers to say yes.
If you want some reckless speculation, Josh Green and Rudy Gobert together,
you could get those
to match.
That
said, I don't know. I just don't know.
I don't see it happening either. I just thought it was funny. Like, it's just one of those things. It's a lot of speculation going on, especially with free agency starting tomorrow, at 5 p.m. Central. So I thought it was kind of interesting. I wanted to get your take on it to kind of see what would work. As Timberwolves fans are looking at this, how can the Minnesota Timberwolves piece together a trade to actually make a Kawhi Leonard trade happen? So
the Raptors are just going to top it with a pick, and it's game over. Is the thing. It's,
and that's exactly what
all
it
takes. The reality is the Clippers aren't winning no LOB anytime soon. So if they get one first round pick out of the deal, they're gonna say, that's better.
It's gonna be that second.
You can get.
It's gonna be that second rounder that we don't have.
Kudos for Tim for checking in, right?
Right. Oh, like
I just don't see that. I don't see him trading Rudy at this point.
No.
Because we just made a massive bet on an under 26 core, and Rudy is kind of that perfect guy to prevent it from falling off the rails and keeping a baseline. I think the Wolves should. If there's an offer too good to reviews for Rudy, I think they should entertain it because he is 33. But if you don't have Rudy and you can't replace him with a legit starting caliber center, you're taking a massive step back.
Okay, so let's take it a step further then. I'll ask both you guys. You guys can kind of chat it out. Would you rather have, you trade Rudy and Josh Green, you get Kawhi Leonard back, or are you wanting the Rudy trade with Dallas that you kind of said without Najee Marshall? So you get PJ Washington,
taking Kawhi
and Daniel
every day
Gafford.
of the week.
I'm just saying
8 days a
because
week.
we would lose, then we're getting back that center is kind of what I'm getting at. So I know, but it's kind of one of those things, like which one do you choose to kind of round out the roster a little bit better?
I'm plugging and playing Rocco Zikarsky for 12 minutes a game with Kawhi Leonard is what I'm doing.
Let's go.
Let's go. It's Kawhi Leonard at power forward with Jaden McDaniels at the small forward.
The Wemby stopper.
I get
Let's
Rudy's
go.
a good defender, but that's a nightmare scenario for all wings.
Go out there, Rocco, and be tall.
Yeah,
just put your hands up.
Yeah, and then there's probably some buyout candidate at the end of the year. So yes, if the Clippers are saying to me, Rudy Gobert, Josh Green, and like TJ Shannon, I'm probably saying sweet, take it. Like we're going for the ring this year, but there's no way the Raptors aren't. If the Raptors aren't topping it with a first round pick, then
no, I doubt that the Clippers would even want to trade him anywhere in the West. So it's easier for them to just, that's the easy argument, right? Just send them, to the other conference, opposite conference or whatever. But all right, so we'll go back now. We'll backtrack to kind of what we were talking about before Kawhi Leonard.
So back to the most realistic and probably extremely boring compared to what we just talked about. One
God
option.
Forbid.
So we just talked a lot about trying to trade Josh Green. Let's say you can't do that. Again, we started the show by outlining how, yes, we have a taxpayer exception for being over the first apron, but we can only really use $4 million of it. There is the option that you could waive and stretch Josh Green. So if you were to do that, you would still have to pay Josh Green about $4.9 million. Okay. We're gonna get that going. Okay.
To wait and stretch the old Damian Lillard, eh?
Oh yeah. So that would get us back below the first apron, but again, we still have to fill out the roster, so we're going to end up being above the first apron. So no mid-level exception here, no non-taxpayer mid-level exception. But go ahead.
I was just going to ask. So I think we said this already, but we still have 4 spots to fill, correct?
Correct.
This is going to be the grossest one out of them all.
4 spots to fill. 4 spots to fill. So again, like if you have like a commitment from a Mamu, Sandro, I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce
Sandro.
From the power forward from the Toronto Raptors. Great guy, really smart player, but worth more than $6 million. But at least you can offer him the full $6 million and waive a starting spot at him, as Johnny K mentioned. That is an option. That's an option if you waive and stretch Josh Green. You would have to get about just under $10 million in space back, so you can offer that full $6 million. Taxpayer exception. So boom,
and that's a flyer, correct? That's a 1 year deal.
Yeah, 1 year contract. We get Mamu, and he's our starting power forward, and then you just
no bird rights.
No bird rights. I was just gonna ask that.
No bird rights.
You wouldn't have bird rights. To have bird rights, you would need to sign a player for 3 years or longer.
3 year long.
So we would probably likely sign him on a 1 year deal. He'd be foolish to take a multi-year deal at $6 million.
Oh yeah.
So we bring him in with the promise, hey, come do this, make your corner threes off all the spacing you get from LaMelo and Ant.
Corner three.
It's not likely, but there's a chance. A more realistic target is probably a Kenrich Williams, a Dean Wade, great corner shooters, physical guys. They both have a lot of playoff experience. Those would be fine additions. So if you have a commitment from one of those and you're looking at your roster like, all right, Dante's going to be back. We literally just drafted a movement shooter in Isaiah Evans. We could probably let Josh Green go. We tried our best to find a deal, but we don't want to give up TJ. You can waive and stretch him. Yes, you're on the hook for about just under $5 million. But now you can use that full taxpayer mid-level exception. And I really think Kenrich Williams or Dean Wade, very realistic at that $6 million taxpayer exception.
But here's my devil's advocate. If they're available at $6 million, someone's also available at $4 million. So the reality of this is like you're getting rid of a guy who's been a quality shooter with a passing guard just to kind of hope and for $2 more million. I would view it as something they're probably not going to do. What's your gut feeling say on this, Tim? Like where do you think the Wolves end up going?
I mean, from a player perspective,
are there other options as well? Is this kind of it in terms of what they can
honestly
do?
It is kind of it. It's pretty limited. And from a player perspective, if you at least come at them like, hey, this is all we got. We made this room, and because we really want you, we want to start you. And you're going to get a financial benefit from playing in this team 25 minutes a night, playing off of LaMelo Ball and Anthony Edwards. I think you can take that. Mamu is probably just outside where he could probably get a $10 million contract, so you'd really be asking for a concession. But Dean Wade and Kenrich Williams are right in that six. They're both probably worth about $8-9 million. Maybe Kenrich is right around the $6 million. But they're right there. So if you have that commitment, you can you have a lot of combo guards already, and you can get this power forward that you need. Yes, it's not the long-term solution, but at least as a bridge to get you to the next transaction window. Because again, even if you hold on to Josh Green, and let's do that. So the last option is you just stay the course. Like, all right, split it out. Let's bring back the gang of Mike Conley, Bones Highland, and Kyle Anderson. Let's set sail and let's go do it. Now you do have Josh Green's tradable contract. Again, we don't have much of incentive, but you can get a 50-game sample size of Jaden McDaniels and just kind of see what he is in that role, and get that sample size. And maybe you find out that like this skill set you thought you needed, you actually don't need, and get a little bit more data to have an educated decision on what fits around LaMelo and Ant. So that's probably the final option. You don't do anything but bring back your guys, and you just kind of sit there and assess for a transaction window. Maybe someone comes available and you made that determination as Cole laid out earlier. TJ is not maybe. I think he's a good fit transition wise, but in terms of a role size, we don't have the role size he likely needs.
To
be the best possible player. So maybe you're sitting there like, why would we invest in TJ when his best role is occupied by guys we're more invested in? And that's when I could see maybe you could do a deal at the deadline. Maybe a John Collins is back on the trade market at the deadline, on the mid-level exception. Or you send it on the year. Maybe you get someone on a buyout and you call it good. And you go into next offseason and you have a pick swap and a second-round pick again. Then you can trade and see what happens.
I think right now a lot of people are kind of in that camp, or kind of like what you were just saying, Tim, like having Jaden be the 4 right now. But also like the fans are clamoring to get those, get some power forward, seeing a lot of Rui Hachimura, a lot of guys that we can't afford, right? But the one thing that scares me is if you decide to play Jaden at the 4, which I think he can do. I think he can do just fine. But what if it goes south? What if we don't? What if we don't, or he's not strong enough to withstand the force, right? Let's say we're playing Brooklyn and he's having to guard Julius Randle. Like, it's just that kind of player I don't think that Jaden can guard. Maybe he'll prove me wrong, but let's say we go down that road and it's backfiring and things aren't looking good, and this trade is like, oh shoot, it's not looking as good. So in my mind right now, I keep looking back at Royce O'Neal with the Bridges trade that just kind of went down, and I feel like he would be a better fit at the 4 than a Jaden. I don't know. That's just me. But again, too, I like Aldama too. Like, there's these guys that I would love to have, or Sandro. I would love to have these guys to play for us because it truly fits, the 4 spot for us. And I would prefer to see Jaden at the 3 where he can flourish there, because from what I've talked about to people that I know, friends and whatnot, Jaden needs to kind of get out of the mindset of defense first, I think, and move forward as becoming more of a scoring threat. And if he's having to guard the 4 every night, that's just going to wear him down, and he's not going to be able to be the scoring threat that we want him to be.
Yeah.
That's just me and how I think about it.
I love that you brought up Royce O'Neal. We almost forgot to bring him up today.
Yeah.
If I could have, like, in terms of realistic outcomes, I would absolutely love to come away with Royce O'Neal and Kenrich Williams of this transaction.
That's possible to get both?
Correct. So
let's go.
Let's play it out. So let's say we rewrite that trade with let's say we add the Michael Bridges trade. Is that
Miles?
Is his name Michael
Miles?
Bridges? Miles Bridges.
Miles Bridges, I think.
Yeah,
Miles Bridges. That now becomes the LaMelo Ball, Naz Reid, Julius Randle trade. It's now a massive, like, 6-team trade.
Right.
Okay. So Josh Green maybe, and who knows, maybe Green on the, what's his name? The high draft pick, Jalen Green. On the Suns, maybe they flip him for DeJounte Murray. And they're looking around like, okay, we could use a combo guard off the bench. Maybe then you could go and add Royce O'Neal, rewrite that trade. Again, we have until July 6th.
Yes.
And we get Royce O'Neal in here. I'm going to add him. So Royce O'Neal for power forward, and he makes 10,875.
Ooh, look at that contract. That looks a lot better.
Boom. So now with that move, we save some cash. So now we can use, Kenrich Williams. Let's get him on here. Power forward.
I hope you have this saved as a preset so you don't have to go back every time.
I do.
There you go.
I learned my lesson. So that's on there now. And then you can round out the roster, bring back Mike.
With minions.
Conley, and then you want Bones. You guys want Bones, or do you guys want?
To each their own. Mike Conley's thinking
Anderson
about Miami lately, so they're probably giving him 10 to 15, and God knows Finch wants to give him 10 to 15 still too. So.
All right, so this would likely be my most preferred outcome for this offseason. You rewrite that trade. Again, you just need someone to be higher on Josh Green than you think is out there. And maybe that's the Suns if they were to do a Jalen Green for DeJounte Murray swap, whatever it might be. Now all of a sudden you have a way more balanced roster. You have a 4. You can feel good about starting Royce O'Neal in this offense because he's one of the best one of the best corner 3-point shooters in the league. He's really big, strong, and sturdy and physical. He's not tall.
No, he ain't. He's the same height as Josh Green.
Like, this team can shoot from the corners. It has athletes. It's going to space the court, and it's deep. You have 10 guys. No, you have 10, 11, 12 guys that you're comfortable playing.
Yes.
So this would probably be my ideal outcome. I think this is a roster you can feel good about taking into next season, and just you can make some tweaks in the offseason next year, but you could feel good about the depth if they were to come away with Royce O'Neal and Kenrich Williams.
And that's just trading Josh Green and adding it into that Miles Bridges trade, right?
Right.
Correct.
Because if they were to do Jalen Green for DeJounte Murray, the Suns would also save a little bit of cash, so it helped make up the difference. So it's not – this is a needle to thread, guys. This is something where if we get a power forward, fans need to understand the needle Tim Connolly is threading. It's going to be very impressive for him to pull something off. Now, yes, he did put himself in that situation, but still, to be able to get LaMelo Ball and fill out the roster in this type of way, which I think there's a narrow pathway. You can kind of squint really hard, and you can see the pathway for this type of thing to happen. But this would be impressive.
If any
it's about
GM
as
can do
wishful
it,
thinking
TC
as
can.
it gets. It's wishful thinking. It's super wishful thinking. What's going to happen is the outcome that Tim Connolly does the most, the one that we didn't see coming in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah,
right?
And it turns out to be actually Kawhi Leonard. No, but that's what's so funny about this.
It could be.
Tim
I wouldn't put it past him.
Yeah, right. Tim will lay this out perfectly in every realistic scenario where you're like, your head will go here. In terms of Tim Garrison will lay this out perfectly for you. And the funny thing is there's so many other options that we might not be thinking of. My thought process is that he probably just sits back, waits things out, because like Garrison has mentioned, the weaving that has to be done to make this work would take tremendous work. But excited to see what happens, because it's going to start unfolding tomorrow, and you're going to start seeing the power forwards go off the board unless he makes a move before the free agency.
Never say never.
Yep.
And July, you said a lot of trades that are going to be happening.
And we have 8 more days in reality for this trade to be added on to. So even with tomorrow starting, like, there's still more and more options, and other trades are going to happen with teams that have been involved with the trade with us or the Hornets or Brooklyn.
Right.
And I know last year was a 7-team trade, which was the largest in NBA history, was just last year. So anything can happen, which is the crazy part. Set it up. We'll put it on a platter for you guys.
No, I think what fans need to realize is that Tim Connolly, he's going to do whatever it takes to win a championship. And I think he just proved that yet again. I know fans were very upset with everything that has gone on because Karl Anthony Towns won an NBA championship. Everyone's upset about that. Randall goes, and we get back the 33rd pick, and everyone's like, is that it? Like, what else are we doing here? And then after the second night of the draft, the thing comes out and it says LaMelo Ball,
24 to 48 hours.
24 to 48 hours.
That's when you knew it was happening.
It was less than 24 hours. And it's just Tim, he likes to lurk in the weeds, and that's just what he does best. And that's what I love about him. And I will defend him until he's not with us anymore. Like, I would follow that man into war. Like, I love the way that he operates. Yes, he has left us with no draft capital, whatever. I don't care.
Swings for the fences.
Because look what happened with the Los Angeles Rams. They went all in. They won a Super Bowl. I would give anything right now, all of our draft capital forever. Yes.
Yeah.
I would give it all
them picks.
to win an NBA championship. And I'll guarantee you this, any Timberwolves fan that's watching this or listening, you are not going to care about those draft picks and what Tim Connolly has done when and if the Timberwolves win an NBA championship. That's just what I want to say. And with free agency starting tomorrow at 5 p.m., things are going to happen. He might sit back, but that's the beauty of it, because we have until July 6th to really kind of, make other moves within trades and adding to these other trades, Julius Randle trade, LaMelo, or the Miles Bridges one that we just kind of talked about with the Royce O'Neal. But going off that, guys, do you have any other little nuggets that you want to say before we hop off for the night?
Just one.
Okay.
It may not be the final solution this summer, but we just acquired an under 26 core for contract for 3 years. There's a couple transaction windows, and if we take the patient approach, I know there's going to be people that are upset. We didn't add a 4, but there is time to build this, and quite frankly, it's not the worst thing in the world to get some data points before you go make that final piece of the puzzle move. So just remember that if they don't do anything, they just bring back their little 3 musketeers of veteran minimums. there's still time because of the core four that we have and how long they're under contract and how young they are. There's plenty of time to add that final piece.
Yes.
Yeah, I my one thing is I think there is going to be someone who just says, screw it. I've made 300 million in my career, Tobias Harris, and 4 million is fine for me as I go ring chasing. It's one of those things where something I think is going to happen where one of these guys is just like, I don't need to chase the money anymore. I want to try to win. It happens every year. You see it in the NBA every year. You're like, what the heck? Bradley Beal's taking a what contract to play with the Clippers, and he gets hurt. But that's my bet is what happens is that they have Tobias Harris on speed dial to be the best corner four in the league at $4 million a year. But again, Tim swings big, and also wouldn't be surprised if something else happened. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be a great 7 days here until we figure out this trade is completely done.
Of course.
Keep your head in a swivel.
Yes.
There you go.
Yep. All right, everybody. We all, Duncan, Tim, myself, we appreciate you listening to us, going over what could happen here in the free agency as it starts tomorrow at 5 p.m. Central, as we stated a couple different times. The new year starts on July 6th. That's when the trades will be finalized for your LaMelo Ball and moving forward. But thank you again for listening to the Daily Wolves Courtside. Have a great night. And as always, let's go Wolves.
Wolves back.